start the show with a joke, but I just heard a great one down in the comic book store. Okay, it seems Rob Liefeld goes into Jim Lee's office and Jim says, Rob, we're canceling all 3 of your new titles. And Rob says, that's okay. Rob says, that's okay. I've got an idea for a new title, and it's going to be starring...
Winter is coming to Channel Awesome. Westeros, mythical land of adventure, romance, betrayal, and warfare. I am Lord Stark, and I will be your guide to the new season of Game of Thrones. Join me on Stark Raving.
I just don't understand why you'd sell advertising space at the start of my show. I mean, the mid-roll ads are bad enough. Why? Because people want to hear my jokes, that's why. They don't. You've done focus groups. I see. Thank you. Bastards. Oh, hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek. It's been a while since we've done a video review here at Comic Book Issues, but this show was always intended to review comics-related media as well as comic books themselves. With that in mind, we're going to review DC Animated's latest release, an adaptation of Mark Waid's story, The Tower of Babel. This is Justice League Doom. The movie opens with Batman swooping in. A strange device lets him walk through a wall and into a bank that's being robbed by the Royal Flush Gang.
That's what I call a safecracker.
Thank God Batman doesn't have to deal with a villain dressed up like a playing card every day. Alright. The villains catch on that Batman is there, leading to a supervillain smackdown. Until...
You might want to give up now.
Royal Flush Gang separates and is quickly captured by the individual Leaguers. Trussed up, the League wants to know where the gang got their phasing technology, but neither Wonder Woman's lasso nor the Martian Manhunter's telepathy reveals anything. They simply don't know where it came from. Where'd you get the tech? I don't know. Who gave it to you? I don't know. Well, where did you find it then? It was left in a bassinet on our doorstep with a note that said, please give our phasing technology a good home. That's exactly how I met Robin. Cyborg of the Teen Titans shows up and begins to hack the device, trying to find out where it's from. In the meantime, a bruised Batman heads home, but not before catching sight of something strange. After leaving the Batcave to have Alfred patch him up, the Mirror Master emerges from Batman's rearview mirror. He hacks the Batcomputer before heading back into Batman's ride. In a mysterious swamp, Bane is attacked by an alligator. He juices up on venom and easily kills the beast. He's then joined by Star Sapphire. They showed up wearing the same outfit. How awkward. They in turn are joined by Metallo, Malafuak, an evil Martian Manhunter, and the Cheetah. A giant dome rises out of the swamp, and the villains file in where they meet the man who summoned them, Vandal Savage. Savage, along with Mirror Master, has a plan that he needs the others for, a plan that will let them murder the Justice League. Back in the Batcave, Alfred has bad news for Bruce Wayne. In a graveyard, Bruce Wayne is furious. His parents' bodies have been exhumed and stolen. The graveyard's caretaker offers no help. He juices up and we realize that it's Bane as he knocks out Bruce. At a small restaurant, the Martian Manhunter in his human guise of Detective John Jones is having a birthday party. The fire-fearing Martian quickly jumps the gun to put out his candles and receives a drink from a mysterious blonde. As he takes a sip, She lets slip that she knows who he really is, and he realizes it's Malafulak. On a boat in a harbor, Wonder Woman is fighting the cheetah. At a crime scene, Barry Allen hears that the Mirror Master is robbing a train and heads off to stop him as the Flash. Green Lantern is called in by the FBI to disarm a militia which is occupying a salt mine and holding hostages. Hale makes short work of the initial attackers. The Flash confronts the Mirror Master with little success. He tries rescuing the little old lady but gets a bomb bolted through his arm. If he stops moving or drops below a certain speed, it will explode. Mirror Master disappears and the Flash takes off to protect the passengers. The evil Martian tells John that the drink was poisoned and will cause him to sweat magnesium. John transforms into his Martian form but bursts into flames. In Metropolis, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen catch sight of a man about to jump off the Daily Planet building. He's a former reporter at the Planet, and Lois calls Clark Kent away from an assignment to help. Cheetah finally manages to score a cut on Wonder Woman. The villainess runs off. Following her, however, Wonder Woman sees numerous cheetahs. Superman arrives to try to talk the reporter down while the Green Lantern evacuates the hostages, only to find out that Carol from bookkeeping is still inside. A standoff with her captor leads to a suicide bomb. Hal digs her out of the rubble, devastated by her death, only for Star Sapphire, the real Carol Ferris, to show up and rub it in that he couldn't save her. His confidence shattered, the ring slips off his hand. Superman talks the reporter out of shooting himself, but he turns the gun on Superman, shooting him with a kryptonite bullet. Bursting out of the fake skin, we see it's Metallo, who further doses Superman with kryptonite radiation as he falls to the ground. Bruce Wayne wakes up inside his father's casket, taunted by Bane over a telephone. He starts to punch his way through the wood. As the villains celebrate, Vandal reveals that he wants the JLA out of the way so he can destroy over half the world. He reveals that he was turned immortal by a radioactive meteorite. He proves this by letting Cheetah cut out his throat. He recovers and tells them how the happiest days of his life were as a leader. He will rule over the survivors of his genocide, and the League of Doom can be his generals if they follow him. The villains agree. Bruce eventually breaks through the casket and gets buried in soil, but he digs his way up out of the grave.
Remember me, Mr. Bane? Gotham City, 2012. You tried to bury me alive, but you made one fatal mistake. You made a rich white man mad.
We see Wonder Woman is working herself into a lather, beating down cheetahs. However, as Cyborg arrives at the police line, we confirm that she's only seen the cheetahs. She's been attacking civilians and police officers. Cyborg recognizes her heart will give out if she doesn't stop fighting. He tries to scan her, but she only sees Cheetah with some high-tech gear. They fight as Cyborg tries to talk her down. Cheetah infected her with nanites that are causing her to see the villain everywhere she looks. Vic tries to cure her when...
Should Brian say, A, how disarming? B, I've got to hand it to her. C, she really pulled that one off. Or D, none of the above. Press now to vote. You selected D.
Damn! Wonder Woman goes to help her foe when Vic blasts her with a sonic attack. It burns out the nanites and restores her vision. In the Batcave, Bruce is informed that Superman has been shot. He then finds out about the Flash and John's predicaments. Batman sends Flash to an iceberg, hoping the ice will slow down the explosion long enough for him to vibrate the bomb off and run away. Bats then sends Wonder Woman after John. She injects him with a chemical that neutralizes the magnesium. Flash ditches the bomb and barely survives. Batman finds Hal in the salt mine, but he won't listen to reason.
She's a sophisticated android. They all were.
Hal had been secretly dosed with the Scarecrow's fear gas. The Justice League stands over a dying Superman as Batman and GL arrive. Bats gives Cyborg a piece of kryptonite to use in a laser scalpel. Vic cuts open Superman, and the Martian Manhunter uses his shapeshifting to reach into Clark's body and pull out the bullet. Superman recovers almost immediately. Aboard the satellite, Batman admits the plans to take them down were his. However, his plans were to neutralize the Justice League, not kill them. The League is too powerful to not have these plans in place. Batman knows the Mirror Master was behind the theft, and he was likely working for whoever gave the Royal Flush Gang their phasing tech. Batman's backups in the stolen data set up a tracker, which the League traces to Savage's base in the Louisiana swamps. The League of Doom is looking over a missile that will fly into the sun and trigger a solar flare that not only will kill half the Earth, but destroy all functioning technology. It's then the Martian Manhunter breaks in and is followed by the rest of the League.
What follows next is 30 minutes of back and forth constructive conversation, followed by some meditation and simple prayer. No, I'm just kidding. They beat the snot out of each other.
Metallo beats the crap out of Superman. Star Sapphire and Green Lantern trade laser blasts. Flash outruns multiple Mirror Masters. Cheetah versus Wonder Woman. Martian versus Martian. Hero versus villain. Cybernetic versus Immortal. Of course the heroes win, but not before Savage launches his planet killer. Superman tries to burn it up, but it keeps launching smaller rockets until one finally hits. As GL tries to slow the solar flare, Superman races back to the League to find a way to save the world. They realize Savage's phasing tech is the key. The Hall of Doom is a giant phasing machine. The League jury-rigs the Hall and phases the entire planet. The wave of energy passes harmlessly through the Earth. Back at headquarters with the villains in check, the League votes Cyborg in as their newest member. However, Batman refuses to apologize. He maintains the Justice League is too powerful to not have these checks in place. He decides he no longer belongs with a group that doesn't see the need for controlling itself and walks out. Superman confronts Batman at the teleporters and asks if he had no plan for himself.
I do have a plan. It's called the Justice League.
Superman gives Batman a piece of kryptonite, trusting Batman to stop him if he ever goes too far. Batman takes it and teleports off the satellite.
Like most of DC's direct-to-DVD animated movies, Doom was based on an actual comic book story, in this case, Mark Waid's Tower of Babel. They did make a lot of changes to this story, so I feel there are really two ways to look at this movie. As an adaptation of that story, or as a cartoon that stands on its own. Let's take a closer look at Justice League Doom.
The style does have a bit of a Japanese anime feel to it, which comes out especially in the characters' facial features more than anywhere. But more or less these characters look the same as they did on Bruce Timm's Justice League cartoon, with the Manhunter taking his appearance from the Crisis of Two Earths movie. Using the same voice actors from that cartoon lets us form an instant connection. We're so familiar with Kevin Conroy's Batman now that it's almost jarring to hear someone else do the voice. All the other Justice League voice actors returned for their heroes, with the exception of Hal Jordan, who was never on the show. He's voiced by Nathan Fillion, who did the character in Emerald Knights. Where things get a bit strange is that this lineup is essentially the same as the current DCNU Justice League, except no Aquaman, even though he was in the original comic book and is on the current team. This causes some confusion as the Flash previously voiced by Michael Rosenbaum was Wally West, but now it's Barry Allen. I guess running at super speed causes your voice to sound exactly the same as every other guy running at super speed. Also in the comic book there was no League of Doom or Vandal Savage. This was actually a scheme by Ra's al Ghul and his League of Assassins. Ra's has a history of trying to wipe out the Earth's population. It's strange they would take him out of this story with The Dark Knight Rises on the horizon, but they do put in Bane, who is the more visible villain in that film. Also, it has to be said, the death traps in the film are a lot stupider than in the comic. In the comic, we have Aquaman getting exposed to the Scarecrow's fear gas, like Hal Jordan did in the movie, and he's rendered hydrophobic. Green Lantern Kyle Rayner is rendered blind. The Flash is shot by a special bullet that causes him to experience months of pain in mere minutes. Plastic Man gets frozen and shattered. Superman is exposed to red kryptonite and overdoses on solar radiation when his skin turns transparent. Wonder Woman and the Martian Manhunter's fates are more or less the same as in the cartoon. But the cartoon death traps are much lamer. The Flash's trap is right out of speed. Superman gets shot? That's his big weakness? Green Lantern is made to feel bad? Calling these traps overly simplistic is being too kind. The middle of the movie with the death traps tends to lag, but the opening battle with the Royal Flush Gang and the final battle against Savage and the villains, coupled with the race to save Earth, actually grab your attention pretty well. The ending of the comic is also bleaker, with Batman walking out as the League votes on his continued presence. There is no feel-good ending with Superman tagged on in the comic.
Looking at it, I have to say it's not a great adaptation. It fails there. Mostly because the powers that be took the opportunity to change the cast to match the current Justice League of America rather than reflect the one that was in the comic book. However, on its own, it succeeds at being a fairly entertaining diversion. It's not a classic, but I did find myself drawn into the beginning and end. Plenty of action, and the voices you've grown up with behind the heroes you know. I give Justice League Doom 3 out of 5 stars. Comic Book Issues is going to be on a short break, but I'll be back with my 50th episode. In the meantime, be sure to check out Stark Raving in April. Until next time, I'm the Last Angry Geek, and this is Comic Book Issues.